jump in. Wednesday, July 1st, the moon is in Capricorn until 3:33 in the afternoon, and then it's going to move into Aquarius. So unpredictable energy with Aquarian energy there, and it's going to be there on the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, all the way until 2:30 a.m. on the 4th. And then the moon will move into Pisces, which is kind of nice because the 4th of July is usually a day people chill out. So Pisces energy can help with that, although we have to be really careful. And my mom energy comes out, and I'm always like, be careful about drinking and driving. And Pisces rules alcohol and drugs and anything, that takes us away from society. So, just be extra careful on 4th of July this year, because there's just going to be Pisces energy in the air in general. But it's a great time to relax and to recharge. Now, it might not be that easy to relax because Mars is going to be conjunct Uranus in Gemini. And I got to tell you, I feel it. Can you already feel the intense nervous energy of this? I feel like things have been so intense lately. I have needed to stick to my list, trying to get it all done. There's been so much coming at me, and I'm curious if you're feeling that too. Please comment. Please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. So intense energy. Mars, the god of war, right? In Greek mythology, the planet of action and motivation, is together in the sign of Gemini with Uranus, the oh wow planet, the great disruptor, the lightning bolt planet. So we have to be extra careful, right? We don't need any problems. And, a lot of times with this kind of energy, it's like you might be right in an argument. You might be 100% right, but it doesn't mean you're going to be in the right, because this is aggressive energy. Okay. So there's going to be multitasking energy, racing energy, accelerated. It's way too easy to be short-tempered, and you really want to go easy on the caffeine. If you're like me, heavily caffeine affected, this is already a burst of energy. So go easy on the caffeine, go easy on the chocolate. I'm always talking about the adaptogen herbs, tulsi and ashwagandha. They can help us adapt to our environment, can help us chill out a little bit. Lemon balm's great. Some people love chamomile. Whatever, just keep it a little bit low key. You don't need any problems. You don't need any arguments. Now, you could get a lot done. Mars is the planet of motivation. It's in Gemini, which can multitask the crap out of anything. And Uranus sudden things can show up. Opportunities can show up. So take the positive, be aware of the negative. Now, change in plans, that's definitely something that is very Aquarian in general. So those first couple days of the month, we know anytime, if you have an Aquarius friend and you're dealing with them, things are probably going to change. There's probably going to be some kind of change of plans. So also on the 4th, there's a lot of energy here. Mars is going to be sextile Neptune. Now, sextile is a very positive relationship. Now, Mars is not known for patience, right? It's already conjunct Uranus, and then Neptune's going to be involved, and Neptune rules Pisces. So it's going to be watery. It can be unclear. We may have some bright ideas, but we may not have the time and energy to deal with the ideas. So write them down and return to them later. All right. Now, it's not going to be dull. 7/5. July 5th, Mars trine Pluto. Now, trines are very positive, right? Mars is in the air sign of Gemini. Pluto is in the air sign of Aquarius. And I've often heard Sheila Haidt always refers to Mars as Pluto's little cousin, I think, or little brother. So a relative, okay? So you've got a lot of power players here. And yes, they're in a positive direction, but there's intense energy. So you can commit to your new direction. Pluto loves newness. Be careful in conversation. Am I being too loud? right? That's a question you should ask yourself. Am I being too loud? Am I being too intense? I can tell you the answer is probably yes, for myself at least. Take note of that. We don't need any problems. This is like being on a runaway horse, okay? So full speed ahead, but maybe a little bit of a bumpy ride. Okay, so now what else is going on? So on the 7th, so we kind of ended there on the 5th. So let's pull a couple cards there for that week. So we know that is a Pisces weekend, and we already talked about the fogginess, but one of the benefits is you can rest, you can dream, but you got to stay clear. And there's too much aggressive energy for you to be in la la land, right? So stay grounded, stay clear, rest. Great time to rest. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. During this first week of July, Mercury retrograde, lots of Mars energy. And even though a lot of these, relationships between the planets are positive ones, it's intense no matter what. Now, I'm going to give you, let's see, I got one from Moon Jube. Let me give you one from the Relative Tarot, one from the Travel Tarot. We'll see what interesting places come up for you. And then we're going to use 2 oracles here. One, the beloved dead is what it would be called now. And the Muka. See what kind of artwork we've got here for you. You know, Muka's really known for his advertisements. So like when you come into our store, you'll see a lot of his old works when he was hired by like liquor companies and bicycle companies and all sorts of different, he did a lot of work for theaters. Sarah Bernhardt was one of his big breaks into doing posters and stuff. That time period when posters started to become a big thing, late 1800s. So, late 1800s. So interesting art, but this is his original art. That's a little bit more intense. So let's see what we have. From the Moon Jube, we have the moon. And we know that this is Cancer energy, right? Sometimes like in tarot, some people will say the moon card is Cancer and other people will say the moon card is Pisces. And because the moon in astrology is Cancer, but either way, we have watery energy and the moon is the pole, okay? So let's see, we are coming down off the full moon, right? We just had the Capricorn full moon on Monday of the week. So really, the beginning of the month, we're still coming down off this full moon. Now, I know I personally got a lot of clarity out of that Capricorn full moon because Capricorn is all about working and committing, but anybody who's born with a moon in Capricorn probably tends to err on the side of being a workaholic. So if that's true, right, those are the kind of things that were coming up during this time period. If that's true for you, you may have noticed that. I noticed it. I noticed that I got a clear message that if I didn't slow down, I was going to burn out. So why don't you pay attention to what was coming up during that Capricorn moon, the beginning of the week? We have the full moon here in this picture. And also she's actually kind of just sitting there and paying attention to the crab there. And so there's kind of intuitive, but like lovely, calming, relaxing energy. Lots of emotion with the moon. We know it's a Mercury retrograde in Cancer, but the moon does represent our subconscious mind. It does rule kind of like secrets and information in the fog. So wanting to pay attention to those kind of things. Your second card is Temperance, which is ruled by Jupiter. There's a lot of Jupiter energy this month. Jupiter left the sign of Cancer on, I think, the 30th, also with the full moon, and then moved into Leo. So what a difference. Jupiter's going to make everything bigger. And so it was making emotions big. Now we're going into Leo, can make the ego big, right? We can start to look at those kind of things. It can also make joy big. So 2 major arcanas here, 2 major secret of life cards here. Now your third card is the 8 of Cups, Vancouver Island, Canada. Lovely. And he looks like he's hiking with a headlamp by the ocean, 8 of Cups. Eight of Cups usually symbolizing like walking away from something, right? But he's just walking in general. And that full moon, which actually looks like an eclipse moon, is guiding him forward. So interesting. Eight of Cups. He's very determined with that headlamp. All right, let's see what your oracle cards are. We have Leisure. Oh, it's so pretty. So an angel guide they're helping to move her in the direction of leisure. And we talked a lot about that over 4th of July. Let's see what your Muka card is. And it's card number 2. And we see 2 people talking there. It looks like one is like lifting the other person's chin up, almost like they're going to paint them or something. The book says, be proud. Affirmation, I am proud of who I am. A young woman sits against a rocky outcropping. She holds a pussy willow reed in her hands. A man stands next to her and caresses her chin. So receiving blessings of wealth and growth, gentle touch, care, and concern, white dressing gown, innocence, and purity. I am proud of who I am. Sounds very Leo-like to me, and we know we have a lot of Leo activity this month. So enjoy, take some time, be proud of your accomplishments, and allow yourself some leisure time.